For years, I covered every family vacation without a thank you until I read a text calling me their cash cow. That's when I realized I was never family, just their wallet. Until I publicly exposed every transfer, every message, and every lie they told, and left their reputation in ruins forever. My name is Ella, and what is about to unfold is something I am still processing. Have you ever felt like you have done so much for your family and they turn around and treat you like you are a walking ATM? Well, let me take you back to when it all started. For context, I am in my late 20s and have a decent job in tech. It is not glamorous, but it pays well enough that I can travel, indulge a little, and keep my life relatively stress-free. However, for the last few years, every time my family went on vacation, somehow I became the one footing the bill. It all began innocently enough. I started out paying for small things, meals here and there when they visited, an occasional birthday gift. These were not quite enough to make me feel like I was being used. Then, one year, my family decided to go to the Bahamas for a vacation. It was supposed to be a family reunion of sorts, and I thought, why not? I would cover a few expenses, like helping them with the flights or covering the house rental. But that was just the beginning. 1 year turned into 2, then 3, and suddenly I was paying for the entire vacation every year. Flights, accommodations, the works. The thing is, I never asked for this. I never even offered. It just kind of happened. First it was my parents, then my siblings, and eventually my cousins jumped in. All of a sudden I was the go-to person for travel money. And do not get me started on the guilt trips. It was always, Ella, we know you have the money. You are doing so well in your career. We cannot afford it, and you know we need this time together as a family. You do not mind, right? Every time I felt uneasy about it, I would push those feelings aside. I would tell myself it was not a big deal because family is family, right? But after the 5th year of paying for everyone's vacation without ever receiving so much as a thank you, I started to feel, well, a little taken advantage of. I finally snapped when I received a text one day from my mom that I cannot forget. I had just come back from a grueling work trip and was lying on my couch catching up on sleep. My phone buzzed, and it was from my mom. Hey sweetie, we are planning our next trip. Just wanted to let you know it is going to be another expensive one, but do not worry. Your dad and I already talked and we have got it covered. She went on and on about how excited everyone was and how much they were looking forward to it. I did not respond right away. I was tired, but something felt off. It did not sit right with me that they had it covered, yet I was always the one handing out the cash. Then, that afternoon, I got a group message from my dad. It was one of those family chats where everyone chimes in, and the topic was the vacation. As usual, they were planning everything, but this time the conversation turned into something I could not ignore. My uncle, who is notorious for being blunt, casually typed in, Ella will not mind paying for this one either. She has always been our cash cow. Now, I do not know what hit me harder, the fact that he called me a cash cow or the fact that my own parents, let that comment slide. No response, no call out, nothing. The message just hung there like an elephant in the room. They did not even acknowledge it, and here I was, the one who had been paying for the trips for years. This was the thanks I got. For a minute, I was in shock. I reread the message a few times, and it hit me like a ton of bricks. They were all in on it. They did not see me as family. They saw me as a walking banker. It was like I had been hit by a wave of realization. My generosity was being taken for granted. I did not respond to the message. I just stared at the screen, my mind racing. That is when I made a decision. I was going to let them pay for this vacation themselves. I did not tell anyone what I was planning. I did not even hint at it. I just stayed silent, waiting for them to come to me. Fast forward to the day the next trip was supposed to be booked. My mom texted me again. Hey Ella, we are all set for the Bahamas next month. We were thinking of upgrading to a bigger house, and we were hoping you could help with the extra expenses. You know we really need this getaway. The message was full of the usual guilt, but this time I did not respond right away. I waited a few hours, and then I did something I never thought I would do. I sent them a message. I think it is time you all handle it on your own this year. I have been covering for the last few years, and it is time you all pitch in. I cannot keep doing this. Then I sat back, waiting. I did not get an immediate reply. I did not hear from anyone for a while, and that is when things started getting really tense. The phone calls started coming in the next day. My mom, my dad, and even my siblings, all asking the same question. What do you mean, you are really not going to help? The more they called, the more I realized how deep the entitlement ran. Ella, come on, my mom pleaded. We have always helped you when you needed us. This is family. We cannot afford it without you. I did not ask you to help me all these years, I snapped back. You just assumed, and I let it slide, but I am done. The tension was thick, and I knew it was going to get worse. But what happened next? Well, that is where things took a turn. The next morning, I received a message that would change everything. The message I received was from my dad, and it was not what I expected at all. It was brief, but it hit me like a punch in the gut. Ella, I need you to come to the house. Your mother and I need to talk now. I was not exactly thrilled about the prospect of sitting down with them, especially after what had just happened, but I knew avoiding this conversation would only make it worse. So I drove to their house, my stomach in knots. When I walked in, my mom was sitting at the kitchen table, her arms crossed, looking more serious than I had ever seen her. Dad was pacing back and forth, clearly agitated. Ella, you do not understand, my dad started. We did not want to ask you for money again, but this is different. We have always helped you, and now it is your turn. I could feel my heart racing. He had been helping you for years. I do not know how many times I have paid for flights and trips and houses, but I cannot keep doing it. It is not fair. Mom sighed. You have always been the one with the money, Ella. Why are you being so difficult? We have always done this together. This is just a little help, a little favor for the family. Why are you making it such a big deal? Her words stung, but I bit my lip and stayed calm. It is not just a little help anymore. It is always me, and I am tired of it. You are our daughter. You should want to help us. You owe us. Dad suddenly snapped, his voice rising. The word owe made my blood boil. I do not owe anyone anything, I said, struggling to keep my composure. I have helped because I wanted to, but that is not the same as being taken for granted. My mom's eyes narrowed, and she got up from the table, walking toward me. So, you are saying you will not help your family when we need you? After everything we have done for you, you are just going to abandon us? Her voice cracked, and I could see her trying to manipulate me with guilt, but I was not having it anymore. No, I am not abandoning you. I am just saying no. You all can handle it on your own this time. For a moment, the room was silent. I could feel the tension rising, but I was not backing down. Then my dad, his face flushed with anger, slammed his fist on the table. You selfish little brat, we raised you to be better than this. What happened to the Ella who cared about her family? He shouted. My mom immediately jumped in, trying to back up his words. This is the thanks we get for supporting you all these years. I stood there, my heart pounding. I was done. I had been walking on eggshells for too long, doing things to keep the peace, but this was it. It was not just the money, it was the way they saw me. Not as their daughter, but as their financial safety net. I turned to leave, but as I reached for the door, my dad stopped me. Ella, if you walk out of here now, do not bother coming back. We are done. I did not say a word. I just walked out. The next few days were interesting, to say the least. My phone was blowing up with messages and calls from my parents, my siblings, even a few distant relatives. But this time, it was not just about the vacation. It was about everything I had ever done for them. My oldest brother Mark called me first. Ella, what the hell is going on? Why are you being such a diva about this? We have always helped each other out. I snapped back. Yeah, always me helping out. I have had enough. Mark sighed. This is not you. What is the real problem? Why are you being like this? I was not going to let him gaslight me into thinking I was in the wrong, so I laid it out. The real problem is that every time we go on vacation, I end up paying for everything and no one even cares. I have been the family ATM for years, and you all just assume I will cover it. I could hear the hesitation in his voice. But we are family, Ella. You are supposed to help family. I could not help myself. You know what is funny? You have never helped me when I needed it. I have always been the one carrying all the weight. Mark did not respond, but I could tell I had struck a nerve. It was silent for a beat before he said, Okay, fine, but do not say I did not warn you when it all blows up. That was the first taste of what was to come. It was not just my parents, it was the entire family turning on me. Every time I checked my phone, there was a new message, a new guilt trip, a new threat of what would happen if I did not come through. But the thing is, I was past the point of caring. I had been pushed to my limit and I was not going to fold. But the real kicker came when they all started talking behind my back, literally. I found out through one of my cousins that my parents had sent a message to the rest of the family about me. They were making it seem like I was the unreasonable one. Ella is being selfish, they said. She does not care about family anymore. It was a smear campaign and it was working. Everyone started turning against me. I was the villain now. A few weeks went by and I was starting to feel the weight of everything. My phone had become a constant source of stress, but I did not respond to anyone. I kept my distance. Then, out of nowhere, I got a call from my dad. I was in the middle of work, but I answered anyway. I had a feeling this was the moment things were about to take a turn for the worse. Ella, listen, my dad said, his tone much softer than it had been before. I am sorry. Your mom and we have been thinking. Maybe we have pushed too far. Maybe we did not appreciate everything you have done. I almost laughed, but I did not. This was not about an apology, this was about saving face. You think? There was a long pause before he spoke again. We need you for the trip. You know we cannot do it without you. I was not going to make it easy for him. I think you should figure it out on your own. You always said we were family. Well, family helps each other without expecting everything in return. Please, Ella, we are sorry, he begged. Just this once. And that is when I decided to play my hand. I knew exactly how this was going to end, but what did I do next? As soon as my dad said those words, just this once, I felt my patience snap. I was not going to be the one to fix their mess this time. I had done it for years, and every single time it felt like they took advantage of me, never appreciating the sacrifices I'd made. I sat there, gripping the phone, taking deep breaths. Dad, I have been saying no for weeks now. Why do you think I am going to change my mind just because you are begging? There was silence on the other end. Then my dad's voice grew more defensive. I do not know what happened to you. You used to be different. What happened to the Ella who cared about family? That old guilt trip again, but I was not falling for it. Maybe I was the one who cared too much. Maybe it is time for you all to see what life is like without me paying your bills. I could hear him trying to calm himself down. Ella, you are overreacting. We are just asking for help with a trip. We have done so much for you. Done for me? I shot back. I have done more for you than you have ever done for me. I paid for your vacations, your bills, your new car, and now suddenly I am the one being selfish because I am not going to fund your next trip? You do not get to twist this into being about me. This is about you all being so entitled that you think it is okay to use me like this. There was a long pause. I could tell my dad did not have a response, but I was not finished. I was tired of being painted as the villain in their narrative. You have taken me for granted, Dad. All these years I have been the cash cow, as you have so kindly put it, and you know what? That stops now. I do not believe this, he said, his voice cracking. You have changed so much. You do not care anymore. You are not the daughter I raised. You are right, I snapped. I am not the daughter you raised. I am someone who knows better than to let people walk all over me anymore. But I guess you will not learn that until it hits you. And just like that, I hung up. That night, I could not sleep. My mind was racing with everything that had happened. The constant phone calls, the guilt trips, the barrage of angry messages from my relatives. It felt like they were all turning on me, calling me selfish, saying I was throwing away years of family loyalty. It was suffocating, and I was starting to feel isolated. The next morning, I got a text from my mom. It was a simple but telling one. Ella, you have hurt us. We have been trying to make things right, but you are pushing us away. Is money really more important than family? I sat there, staring at the message for a long time. I could feel my anger bubbling up again. Money was not the issue. It was the manipulation, the constant using of me, the never-ending assumption that I was always going to be their solution to everything. I wanted to respond, but I decided to wait. I had to think this through carefully. I needed them to understand the gravity of what they were doing, and I needed them to realize they could not always depend on me to bail them out. A few days later, my parents sent me a message, one that was different from the others. It was an invitation to their house. They said they wanted to talk and make things right. I knew what this was, another attempt at manipulation, but I felt a sense of resolve in me. They thought they could just pull me back in with a few empty words. They did not know that this time I was going to make sure they felt the consequences of their action. When I showed up at their house, I was not prepared for what happened next. My dad opened the door, and before I could say a word, he stepped aside to let me in. Ella, we have been thinking, he began. We have been too hard on you, and we just wanted to say we are sorry. We did not mean to make you feel like a cash cow. I had to stifle a laugh. He was trying so hard to sound genuine, but I could see right through him. You know, that is funny, I said, my voice calm, almost too calm. I have been saying no for weeks now, and all of a sudden you are sorry? You are really trying to pull the wool over my eyes with this, are you not? Ella, we mean it, my mom chimed in. We were wrong. We did not realize how much you were carrying. Oh, you did not? I asked, raising an eyebrow. Because for years I have been telling you how much I am doing, but you all only ever saw me as the one who could fix everything. There was an uncomfortable silence. My parents shifted uncomfortably in their seats, but I was not done yet. I had something planned, something they would never expect. I have been thinking about your trip, I continued, leaning forward. And you know what? I have decided I am not going to pay for it. But here is the kicker. I paused, watching them both closely. I could see the panic in their eyes. They were finally starting to realize they were not going to win me over with a quick apology. You cannot afford it. I am not coming to your rescue this time. You will have to find another way to make it happen. I have already decided I am done being your safety net. I stood up, and just as I was about to leave, my dad, looking defeated, spoke. Ella, please, do not do this. I did not say another word. I walked out feeling a strange sense of satisfaction, but I knew this was not over. They had no idea what I was about to do next. For the next few days, I let the silence hang between us. My parents sent me messages, of course, but I did not bother reading them. They were all the same, pleased for me to come back, to forgive them, to be the family I once was. Honestly, it felt good to finally not respond, to not feel like I owed them an explanation. But what I did not expect was what happened next. One evening, about a week after the confrontation, I was sitting at home, scrolling through some emails, when I got a call from my dad. I stared at the phone, hesitation in my chest. Part of me wanted to just let it ring out, but another part, a part I could not ignore, knew this was the moment. The moment where things would either break completely or take a different turn. I answered. "Ella," my dad said, his voice trembling just enough to make me pause. "We need to talk." "About what?" I replied, trying to keep my tone as calm as possible, though my heart was racing. "You know, I am sorry for what happened, but we have been talking, your mother and I. We cannot just sit back and let you throw everything away like this. You are part of this family, you owe us." His voice had that familiar edge to it, that one that always tried to make me feel guilty, like I was the one causing the problems. I almost laughed, but I bit it back. "I do not owe you anything. You have used me for years, and I am done with it. This is not about family, it is about you being upset that your free ride just ended." There was a long pause. I could hear him sigh heavily on the other end. "Ella, we have had a plan, a big plan, something we were going to share with you after we got back from our trip, but I guess it is pointless now." I narrowed my eyes, unsure whether I should feel alarmed or amused. "A plan? What, you are going to try to guilt-trip me into coming with you on your next vacation?" "No," he replied. "It is more than that. We were going to give you a percentage of the inheritance early. We know you have been struggling, and we thought you might want to use it to get yourself back on track, but now, forget it." I froze. My brain struggled to process what he was saying. "An inheritance early?" "Wait," I said slowly. "You were going to give me money after all of this?" There was an almost bitter laugh on the other end of the line. "We did not want you to feel like we only saw you as a cash cow, Ella. We thought maybe this would help you understand that we cared about you." I sat there for a second, stunned. The audacity, the absolute nerve of them. After everything, they thought money would be enough to fix it. They thought I would cave just because they were throwing some cash my way. I took a deep breath, forcing my voice to stay steady. "Keep your inheritance. It is too little, too late. You cannot buy me back, not this time. You will regret this," my dad spat. "We will not be here forever. You will come crawling back when you realize what you lost." I hung up, and for a moment, it felt like the weight of the world had been lifted off my shoulders. But I knew that was not the end. Oh no, they would not let me walk away that easily. I was right. A few days later, as I was sitting on my couch minding my own business, I got an email. At first, I thought it was from work or maybe spam, but when I opened it, my stomach dropped. The subject line was simple: "We need to talk about this." It was from my mother. I opened it. It was a long message full of anger and hurt. But what caught my attention was the last line. "You will see just how much family means when we are gone." I did not understand. What did she mean by that? I checked my phone, but there were no calls, no messages. Still, the weight of that sentence lingered. When we are gone. Then something clicked. They were going to cut me out. They were going to make me the villain in all of this, and they were going to play the victim. They were going to turn every friend and every relative against me if they had to. They were not just mad that I refused to pay for their vacation anymore. They were hurt because they lost their source of income, and they were going to make sure I felt the consequences of it. But I was not going to let them. Not this time. If they wanted to play dirty, I was ready to fight back. A week later, I saw a post from my mom. It was on Facebook, shared with all of our family and friends. It was a picture of my parents smiling at a resort, holding drinks in their hands. But the caption? That was the real kicker. Sometimes you have to learn the hard way that family does not always have your back. Just because you give does not mean you will receive. Be careful who you trust. I stared at it for a while, the words sinking in. They were not just trying to punish me. They were trying to publicly shame me, make me look like the bad guy in front of everyone. And that was where they made their mistake, because now I had a plan. I stared at my mom's Facebook post, feeling my anger simmering beneath the surface. This was not just about the vacation anymore. They were playing dirty, trying to paint me as the villain in front of everyone. It hit me hard, but I was not about to let them get away with it. I knew what I had to do. I spent the next couple of days pulling everything together. I had all the evidence I needed: text messages, bank statements, and emails. Everything that showed just how much I had given them over the years. They had been more than just entitled. They had been manipulative, using guilt to get me to pay for their vacations, their bills, everything. But now, I had the receipts, and I was going to make sure everyone knew the truth. On a quiet Sunday afternoon, I shared a post of my own. It was a simple status with a picture of my parents at one of their previous vacations, the same one my mom had posted, but with a twist. I attached a screenshot of a text message from my dad where he literally said, "She will not mind paying for the trip. It is her job to help us." Then I added the message. To everyone who has been wondering what has really been going on with my family lately, here is the truth. For years, I have been paying for vacations, bills, and things that I was not even asked for. It was not out of love. It was because I was guilted and manipulated. I am done. No one gets to use me anymore. The post went up, and within hours it was shared by dozens of family members and friends. People I had not even heard from in years were messaging me, asking what had happened. Some were supportive, others were shocked. But the most important part? My parents could not escape it. The fallout was almost immediate. My mom called me, frantic. "What did you do?" she demanded, her voice shaking with a mix of anger and fear. "You have ruined everything. People are asking questions, and now they think we used you. We were helping you." "Helping me?" I scoffed. "You were using me. Do not twist the truth to make yourself look better. The only thing you ever helped me with was enabling me to keep paying for your lives while you ignored mine." She did not have a comeback for that. She just hung up. But the drama did not stop there. The entire family was in an uproar, with relatives reaching out, calling me everything from selfish to entitled. My parents were doing damage control, trying to spin things in their favor, but it was clear they could not recover from the truth I had exposed. The reality was out, and there was no going back. A few days later, I got an unexpected call from my uncle, who was one of the few relatives who had always been supportive of me. "Ella, I saw your post. You did the right thing," he said, his voice surprisingly calm. "We have all known about your parents' manipulation, but no one had the guts to say it. You have got family here who actually cares about you and will support you no matter what." Hearing that honestly brought me to tears. I had always been told that family was supposed to have your back, but until then, I did not realize just how much support I had from people who truly cared. By the end of the week, my parents had tried to reach out, but this time I did not answer. The games they had been playing for years were finally over. I was done being their cash cow, and I had made sure that everyone knew exactly who they were. The truth had come out, and for the first time in a long time, I felt free.